What's up, movie nerds and basketball geeks? Welcome back to MovieBall. There's literally 4 of you returning. Thank you. But seriously, every one of my videos, the views have diminished a little bit. What's up with that? On today's episode, I'm going to look into the future and predict who's going to win each of the big NBA awards this season. That includes MVP, DPOY, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Most Improved, Sixth Man, NBA teams, all defensive teams, all rookie teams, the player most likely to drink the most Gatorade this season. I was trying to come up with a joke, one that would be funny enough. Anyway, with each category, I'm going to announce my personal pick, and then I'm going to also choose a dark horse candidate as well. Sound good? You're not answering. Maybe you are, but I don't know what you're saying. This isn't an episode of Dora. You don't have to answer, So let's start with one people probably care about the least and work our way up to the more juicier accolades. For Coach of the Year, I'm assuming people care about that the least. For Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with the man Doc Rivers of the Los Angeles Clippers. Coach of the Year is honestly probably one of the harder awards to predict because there's not really a clear narrative behind it, so to speak. Sure, you can guess who the best teams in the NBA are going to be for each conference, and whichever teams are the top seed, then those coaches will probably be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. But that may be true, but it's not always the case. But it will be the case with Doc Rivers this year. The Clippers are going to be at the top. They're going to be up there for sure. And he's always been recognized as one of the better coaches in the league. And he was in the conversation last year for bringing the Clippers to the playoffs with no All-Stars and no postseason expectations. I thought about Mike Malone of the Denver Nuggets and Brett Brown of the 76ers, but ultimately the star power of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George teaming up to join forces with a team that already won 48 games last year just speaks volumes to me. I think it's Doc's year. For my dark horse pick, I've got Rick Carlisle of the Dallas Mavericks. Everybody knows Rick Carlisle is a really good coach, but the Mavericks haven't made the playoffs since 2016 and have been expectedly irrelevant ever since. But they've got the next great generational talent to take over where Dirk left off in Luka Doncic, who I believe will be dominating the league for years to come. Pair him up with the Unicorn, who still needs to show us he's in game shape, but those are 2 big-time young players that are surrounded by a certainly capable supporting cast. Hello? Hey, what's up? Yeah. Uh, oh, our garage door? Yeah, I'll do. Yeah, sure. I'm in the middle of recording right now. No, I'll do it. It'll be funny for my video. They'll be like, what? The Mavericks could easily slip into the playoffs, and Rick Carlisle will be a huge reason for the team's success. Do I necessarily think he's going to win? No, but that's why he's a dark horse candidate. He has a shot, and I really wouldn't be surprised at all if he actually winds up in the conversation. Next up, we're going to move over to the Most Improved Player Award, and in my opinion, that player is going to be Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. The well-fabled toddler has had a couple of decent NBA seasons thus far. They're probably better than decent, but people overrate him so goddamn much that I'm just going to call them. They're just decent. I could have went with Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat because Whiteside is now gone, which opens up a plethora of minutes for Bam to slide in there and increase his stats, as well as there possibly being a greater emergence of Thomas Bryant of the Washington Wizards. I think both of these guys' numbers will go up, but that's usually pretty common for big men. When it comes to Most Improved, voters typically want to see how much you can really increase your point total by. So considering Tatum only averaged 15 points last year, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him join the 20-point club considering people already think he's the greatest player of all time. But I could totally see him averaging around 20 to 22 points with the departure of Kyrie Irving and him feeling a little more settled into the Celtics offense. For my dark horse, I've got Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets made it into a YouTube video for a positive reason this year. They suck! With this award, there's so many options you can go with because there's just so much unpredictability to it all. Players can go down with injuries. Players can be in the gym working on their game all summer long. And other players are just destined to take that next step. So you never really know who could be most improved because tons of players improve every season. I thought about Josh Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies because now that he's on another team in a new environment with no real rotation of forwards behind him, he's got a real chance to step up. And of course I pondered my New York Knicks, both Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson, but I'm not completely sold on Knox having a great sophomore campaign, and with the ridiculous amount of power forwards and big men we have, I'm not so sure that Robinson will get enough playing time to show the world how dominant he really could be given the chance. I'm a Knicks fan, what kind of stupid stuff will I say next? However, I'm rolling with the man Miles Bridges for one pure reason. The Hornets fucking suck. The next award we have is the Sixth Man of the Year, and I've just got to go with Lou Williams, okay? There's just a strong case for it in the fact that the Clippers are going to be filthy, and he's still going to be coming off the bench, scoring, giving you about 15 points per game, which is really good for great sixth man numbers. I understand that there's voter fatigue because he's won it so many times, but at the same time, if the Clippers win about 60 games or so, it's going to be really hard to imagine him not winning it. I could have went with D. Rose on the Pistons now, who are looking to make another playoff push, who's probably going to give them somewhere from 16 to 17 points per game, but there's a great possibility he could get injured again, which will hurt his chances at winning the award. And I also thought about Domantas Sabonis, who is an underrated player that will come in for the Pacers on that second unit and consistently give them about 13 and 10. It's something to definitely, look for, but at the same time, I just got to go with Old Reliable and Lou Will. Dark Horse Sixth Man? I'm going to go with the ex-Clipper himself in J.J. Redick. Yes, he's been a great starter for years, and nothing's been officially confirmed yet, but I'd imagine that Lonzo and Drew Holiday will be starting in that Pelicans backcourt, which gives Redick ample opportunity to come in and score off the bench. He's mainly just going to be firing threes, but JJ averaged something like 17, 18 points in Philly. Yes, he was starting, but the Pelicans have a chance to be an above-average squad, which means if he's scoring, he could be in heavy consideration. My Defensive Player of the Year choice is, much like Lou Williams, not a surprise at all. Rudy Gobert will win it again this year. He's an absolutely incredible defender who will be protecting the rim even more so as the Jazz picked up some more offensive options to put around Donovan Mitchell, which leaves Rudy Gobert to focus more on his defensive game. The Jazz should be a really good team, which always helps as well, and you could always go with someone like a Giannis or Draymond or any of these other really notable defenders, but much like Lou Williams, I just think Rudy Gobert has it working in his favor this year. My dark horse DPOY is none other than Hassan Whiteside of the Portland Trailblazers. A shift in scenario and playing in a contract year should propel Whiteside to be the best he's been in a couple of seasons. Playing for a Blazers team that hopes to make a title push, Whiteside is a much-needed defensive anchor for the offensive duo of Lillard and McCollum. But he could also be trash. The Rookie of the Year is Zion Williamson. My dark horse pick is Tyler Hero of the Miami Heat. I think this kid is going to be a special player. He's out of Kentucky, which always bodes well with the NBA. And after Jimmy Butler, I'm not really sure who the next scoring option is, and I think Hero could step into that role. People say if it's not Zion, it'll likely be Ja Morant or RJ Barrett, but even those aren't really dark horse contenders. Maybe they are in the year of the coveted Zion Williamson, but I was thinking more along the lines of a player like Rui Hachimura of the Washington Wizards, who looks like an absolute stud to me. Still, I gotta rock with the Kentucky product in Hero. That brings us to the final main award in the MVP, Most Valuable Player. It's a really tough one to predict because there's just so many names that you can go with. You can go with Giannis, who we can't ignore. He just won the MVP last season, but the voters don't really like back-to-back repeat winners. You could go with James Harden, who's been in the conversation for MVP since 2015. You can go with Steph Curry, who has the narrative now. KD's gone, Klay's hurt. He's got a chance to put the team on his back and put up huge numbers. You could go with Embiid. The Sixers look to be like the best team in the Eastern Conference this season, and as long as he can stay healthy, he's going to be dominant. You could go with Nikola Jokic, who I think is going to propel the Nuggets to an even greater level this season. And then you can go with Kawhi Leonard, who is on the Clippers and is just a superstar. But I have to go with the king in LeBron James. Now, you can make an argument against him. His age is a factor. He doesn't have the most complete roster around him, and he's already won 4 MVPs beforehand. But you could also look at those and say, these are reasons for him winning. I have believed for 4 or 5 seasons now that LeBron has one more MVP season in him. Technically, that's every single year with LeBron, but I mean literally winning the MVP again. He's got the storyline, right? The Lakers didn't even make the playoffs last season. People are saying that LeBron is starting to get washed. And when talking about the top 3 or 5 players in the league, people don't even mention LeBron anymore. What? What? An MVP season on the mighty Lakers just seems fitting, as last year was the first postseason that LeBron missed since, 2005? Think about how well rested he's going to be to propel the Lakers to another level. Sure, you might think he coasts during the regular season, but he still averages about 27, 8, and 8 for coasting. I just think the King is going to get that 5th and final piece of hardware, but anything could happen. That's where my dark horse winner comes in, and that player is Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. You might be thinking, what? Lillard's a superstar who's probably a top 3 point guard in the league, but with pretty much every other team in the West getting better and improving this season, the Blazers kind of got worse because they lost Nurkic due to injury. It's basically up to Lillard to carry the load, and every year we count out the Trailblazers, they seem to do better and better. If they can manage to be a top 3 seed this season, and Lillard is doing his thing, which he might have to pick it up a little bit to about 30 points per game, those are crazy numbers, but that's not at all a far stretch for him, then I could totally see him being in the conversation or possibly winning the award. I mean, Lillard is literally a classic case of most valuable because without him, the Blazers are a fringe 30-win team. Now let's predict all of those teams. For first team all-rookie, I've got Ja Morant, RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson, Rui Hachimura, and PJ Washington. The first 3 are pretty obvious choices, but like I said with Rui, this dude seems pretty slept on to me. A Washington Wizards team with no real offense outside of Bradley Beal, he has a good chance to put up good rookie numbers. And when it comes to PJ Washington, it's kind of the same scenario. There's literally no one on that team that can do anything. This team is going to win like 6 games, so I don't know how the rotation is going to work because they're probably going to mess with it a lot, but he's got a good chance to prove himself. For my all-rookie second team, I've got Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and Daniel Gafford. There's a lot of guards to choose from, so you can talk me into a Kobe White or a Jarrett Culver, but I'm pretty confident with my picks. Garland will step in right next to Colin Sexton as like that next scorer. That's assuming they also trade Kevin Love this season. Like I said with Tyler Hero, this kid's got star potential. I think he's going to show a lot of flashes of that in his rookie season. And when it comes to the 2 Hawk forwards, they're going to get plenty of playtime, and Trae Young is just going to help them out with their game even more. And then Daniel Gafford, he might be the most surprising pick out of all the players I chose for these teams. But I think he's going to put up really solid backup numbers playing behind Wendell Carter on the Chicago Bulls. He's a really good defender who should be swatting a bunch of shots and sending them back. And I think he could have a rookie campaign similar to that of Mitchell Robinson's. For the all-defensive first team, I've got Patrick Beverley, Derek White, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Draymond Green, and Rudy Gobert. Everyone knows Patty Bev is a pesky-ass defender, and once again, that Clippers' success should bring recognition towards what he will do for the team this season. And then when it comes to Derek White, he's a good two-way player that I think will step up his game once again for the Spurs this season. And then the other 3, they're just self-explanatory. The second team will consist of Ben Simmons, Marcus Smart, Paul George, Anthony Davis, and Joel Embiid. I have PG over Kawhi because I just feel that more of the defensive load is going to fall on Paul George's shoulders because Kawhi is more of the superstar. And, they're both phenomenal defenders. One of them at least is going to make one of these teams, but that's just my reasoning for that. Ben Simmons and Embiid should provide great defense on a Sixers squad that I believe should be winning around 55 games this season. And Marcus Smart might be the only defense on that entire Celtics roster. And then Anthony Davis, of course. Now, for the 3 All-NBA teams, remember that a center spot is required. So with that being said, my first team All-NBA is Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. For my second team All-NBA, I have Ben Simmons, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and Joel Embiid. And for my third team All-NBA, I have Kemba Walker, Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic, Paul George, and Rudy Gobert. There are some notable exclusions like Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook, Karl Anthony Towns, Blake Griffin. There's so many names you could choose from, and remember, predicting these teams to a T is impossible, but I'm pretty confident with my selections based on team success and the stats that these players will put up. I think James Harden will drink the most Gatorade this season. he plays a ton of minutes all the time. You know, he's putting a heavy workload on himself. When he runs out to that bench and gets that rest, he's gonna fill up on that Gatorade. He's gonna need it. And then when it comes to my dark horse pick, I'm gonna go with Frank Ntilikina of the New York Knicks, because no one even remembers that he's even on an NBA team anymore. And what else is he gonna do when he's sitting on the bench? So, duh. Thank you guys for watching. I love predicting this kind of shit. Let me know your picks in the comments below. And as always, murder that like button. Kill it. I mean, bury that like button. You know, once you kill it, you've got to hide the body. And how else are you going to hide a dead like button? Go to jail. You know, you kill a like button, you go to jail. It's fine, but you got to do it. You got to kill a like button sometimes. This like button, it should be dead. Like when I log into my YouTube and I look at my channel, I look at the video views, I want to see a corpse of a like button sitting there. I'm going to scream, ah! But, you know, I'll scream. I'll be like, oh my God, there's so much blood. Holy shit, get this dead like button off my screen. But at the same time, I'll be happy. Ah! However you want to do it. You know, stab it. You know, throw that like button in the microwave. Just let it blow up. You put it in there for too long. It's... You ever have these sour worms? They're pretty good.